Hey everybody, Mark Herman, aka LA Bengal fan on Twitter, repping the Bengals for the AFC Northerners. Just want to throw up a quick recap of the draft. I hope you all enjoyed it, caught as little or as much of it as you wanted to see. I know it's not for everybody. There were varying grades that different sites gave us on our draft. I hate these grades. I'm just going to tell you, I'll give you an example. You know, the year the Browns traded out of the Julio Jones pick, traded back in, got Trent Richardson, packaged up again, traded back in, got Brandon Weeden, packaged up again, traded back in, got Greg Little. What did they get? They got nothing. They could have stayed and got Julio Jones. And I remember Mel Kiper and McShay and everybody talking about how great the Browns manipulated the draft board, giving them an A and an A+, and how great they were. They were like Ozzie Newsome. Well, in retrospect now, we know Trent Richardson was garbage. Brandon Weeden was nothing. So I just hate the immediate impression grades, because you really don't know until a year or two or three down the road just how good or bad your draft was. The grades we got range anywhere from a C from CBS to an A- from Sports Illustrated. We've got a couple B+ and a B, so there were varying degrees of opinions as to how we did. I really liked and thought we had a very solid draft overall. It wasn't a real exciting draft. We didn't move around a lot. We did trade back to get back-to-back picks in the third. So we traded back and improved our last pick in the third round to up into the mid-70s, where we had back-to-back picks. It was actually... well, I don't have it here, but so that was the only maneuvering we did. I had said we would address center right off the bat. I liked Frank Ragnow only because he didn't have any injury concerns. Now, I know that Price got a clean bill of health. He's going to be ready for training camp. If that's true, I'm completely satisfied with the Price pick. He's a great locker room guy. He's a local kid. I have absolutely no problem. In the first round, I did kind of feel a little flashback to 2008, because here I thought we were taking Ragnow, and the Lions jumped in front of us and sniped him and grabbed him. So we'll never know if Ragnow or Price was higher on their board. Obviously, Price was higher than Daniels because they could have had Daniels. But we'll never really know because he wasn't there for us. But the only reason I had it was because of the injury concern and him not being available. Price, or whoever we drafted at 21, in this case it was Price, he has to be ready day one. I mean, we really need him to be our starting center opening day. So as long as he's healthy, ready for camp, which the doctors say he will be, and I'm heeding to the Bengal medical staff that they know what they're doing, I'm real happy with the Price pick. We had lots of solid picks. The theme that I caught across the board was high IQ guys. I mean, you look at Bates, you look at Hubbard, who I also really like, and you look at Price, you've got high IQ guys. And that seemed to be a theme. And it's actually consistent because Terrell Austin's two-deep scheme places a lot of burden on the safety. So that's why I wasn't surprised when we went after a ball-hawking guy like Bates with our first pick on day 2. So I see that we got a lot of high IQ guys that we picked up this year. Day 3, we started the day out with Jefferson. He's going to be a high-risk, high-rewards kind of guy. Doesn't seem to have the read skills, but in his defense, he kept changing. They kept changing defensive coordinators on him and not really playing to his skill set. The guy's got all the athletic tools and absolutely has a chance to see playing time on day 1 because of the Vontaze Burfict suspension. So he's got a chance to see playing time right away. But real solid pick. And like I said, this is the first draft where Austin's been our defensive coordinator. So clearly there were some different themes that we saw come into play here. And I'm going to trust Duke Tobin, who's historically been one of the best drafters out there. In terms of he's our player personnel guy. So I don't like to second guess him. Most of the positions we did on day 3, we shored up and added depth to a lot of positions. It was a deep defensive draft, and we showed that with the amount of defensive guys we took. The pick of the running back, Mark Walton, from Miami. He kind of fell down the boards because he was injured. So I think he was the best player on the board, and they felt they needed another running back on the roster. So I have absolutely no problem, like I said, with any of the picks. The Darius Phillips, boy, what a physical freak. This guy's got, like, I keep hearing different numbers, and I know they're including different types of touchdowns. This guy had like 15 non-offensive touchdowns in college. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So he'll be an immediate impact guy on special teams, and should be worked into the rotation if he shows that he's capable. So, real good. The other thing that surprised me was I really thought we were going to go heavier with offensive line. Now, I know when you're looking at the first round, you actually have to think about 2 offensive linemen, because we've got Cordy Glenn we got for trading back 9 places in addition to Price. So we really got 2 offensive linemen in the first round. And I know a lot of the sites that gave us higher grades figured in the Cordy Glenn trade, because that really was, we traded 9 spots for a starting left tackle. So, but I thought we were going to go heavier. We did not take another offensive lineman until the 7th round. We picked up Rod Taylor from Ole Miss. There were a lot of guys on the board, and I was really surprised that we didn't pick up another offensive lineman. I was yelling on the end of the 3rd round. I really wanted us to package up picks, trade back in, and get Orlando Brown. And then like 2 picks later, the Ravens got him. So that was the one move I really wanted to see us do. But you know what? Maybe we didn't have Orlando Brown scored as high as as I thought he was. So I'm going to trust Pollock and our new offensive line coaches. Let's just assume they know more than me, and that's why we didn't trade back in for Orlando Brown. And maybe they're looking at Trey Hopkins and Johnson and Westerman, and maybe they think we have enough pieces because we've got a new offensive line coach. So hopefully he can do what he did in Dallas with our line. So maybe he sees the pieces that are there, and that's why we didn't draft as heavy as we did. Just to comment on a couple of the other teams, the Browns, I didn't agree with all the picks that they made, but they made sense at the time. But their whole draft is going to be defined by Baker Mayfield. It's real simple. If Baker Mayfield is a home run, their draft was a success. If Baker Mayfield is not, and they should have taken Darnold or Rosen or Allen, then this draft will be a failure, and we'll see more coaches. We'll probably see Hugh Jackson get fired. Baltimore seemed like the Baltimore of old. Maybe Ozzie should have threatened to leave before. He actually, the way they maneuvered the board, they did a real good job. I mean, I'm not a big Lamar Jackson fan. I know there was a lot of people in Cincinnati wanted Lamar Jackson. I don't think he fits what we do. He's a great athlete. I know he's local because he plays at Louisville. But clearly, the Ravens were interested in him. Trading back in excites their fan base, and it puts some pressure on Flacco. And then, like I said, I was very sad to see us not trade back in and get Orlando Brown, and the Ravens get him. I was surprised it didn't take Ridley when he was on the board in the first round. They opted for tight end. That was a little surprising, but they did maneuver the draft board, and it looked more like the Ozzie of old. So that's my overall take. I don't like to go too long on this. Like I said, we won't really know what kind of draft we had until a year or two from now. Who our Carl Lawson is of this draft. Who our Clayton Fendulum is. Clayton Fendulum was a 6th round pick. I didn't even know who the guy was, and he's turned out to be contributed a lot in our secondary. So on these later picks, we really need to see how they play out before we really judge how we did on this draft. But overall, I was pleased. Added depth. Quality guys, like I said, high IQ guys. So go ahead and watch. I know DGBG's put up a video. I'm sure some of the other guys will probably put up some videos over the week. So feel free to catch up on some of the other draft recaps. And as the news piles up, I will jump in and throw up an update when I think it's appropriate. So with that, I say hoo-day to everybody out there in Hoo-day Nation. And as always, until we win a playoff game, fuck Marvin Lewis, and until we get back to the Super Bowl, fuck Mike Brown. Okay? Have a good week, everybody. Take care.